It is the middle of the night, and something is breathing on the other side of the fire. You can't see it. You can only hear it move. Slow, heavy, patient, circling the small ring of light your family is crammed inside. The children have stopped crying. Everyone has. Because crying is a sound, and sounds are how you get found. You think you sit at the top of the food chain, the hunter everything else runs from. For 2 million years, you were the meat. Not for a bad week, not for one harsh winter. For 2 million years, you were something else's dinner. Stalked, dragged into caves, eaten, and left as gnaw-marked bone on a den floor. And right now, out there in the dark, more than one of them is deciding whether you're worth the effort. Several things hunted your ancestors. Only one of them was the worst, and it is not the one you would ever guess. Here's what nobody tells you about being an ancient human. You were not in charge, not even close. For most of our existence, our ancestors sat somewhere in the middle of the food chain, closer to the deer than to the lion. We have spent a century telling ourselves a flattering story. Man the hunter, the clever ape with the spear, striding across the plains, feared by all. In 2005, two anthropologists named Donna Hart and Robert Sussman took that story apart with a single, devastating phrase. We were not man the hunter, we were man the hunted. And the evidence is written into the oldest bones we have. There is a fossil called the Taung Child, a small member of an early human species, Australopithecus africanus, who died in South Africa almost 3 million years ago. For decades, nobody knew how. Then a scientist named Lee Berger looked closely at the eye sockets. There are puncture marks there, talon marks, the exact damage a large eagle leaves when it rips the eyes out of its prey to get to the brain. A child, carried off by a bird, 3 million years ago. That is the world you were born into. Now let's meet the things that hunted you. Start with the cave lion, Panthera spelaea. Picture a lion, then make it about a quarter bigger, heavier in the shoulders, built like it was assembled for the sole purpose of ending your day. These were not the lions of a nature documentary, lazing in golden grass. These were Ice Age predators that shared the same frozen valleys as your ancestors, and they were very good at their job. Picked. Hear this. It is dusk in what is now southern Germany, 48,000 years ago. A cave lion is lying down, resting, the way a thing with nothing to fear lies down. And it does have nothing to fear. It is the largest predator for 100 miles. Except, this time, something is creeping up behind it, low, quiet, holding a sharpened wooden spear. We know this happened because we found the lion, a nearly complete cave lion skeleton, dug up near a town called Siegsdorf, with a single puncture wound on the inside of its third rib. The angle tells the whole story. The spear entered the soft belly from the left, drove up through the vital organs, and stopped against the bone. There are no tooth marks. No other animal did this. A human did this. It is the oldest direct evidence we have of a person killing a great predator. But hold that thought, because something even stranger came before it. 190,000 years ago, in a German cave so old people once thought its bones came from unicorns, Neanderthals were already taking cave lions apart. We found a toe bone with a very specific cut mark on it, the kind of cut you only make when you are carefully skinning an animal to keep the pelt with the claws still attached. Think about what that means. They weren't just surviving the cave lion, they were wearing it. So the cave lion is terrifying, but the cave lion at least hunted alone. The others did not. Meet the short-faced bear, Arctodus simus. On all fours, it could look a grown man in the eye. Standing on its hind legs, it rose to nearly 11 feet, taller than 2 men, one standing on the other's shoulders. It weighed over 1,500 pounds. And here is the part that ruins your night. It could run. Estimates put it around 40 miles an hour. Faster than a horse, faster than anything you could climb to in time. You did not outrun a short-faced bear. You simply hoped it had already eaten. Then there's Homotherium, the scimitar-toothed cat. And the cat alone wasn't the problem. We sequenced its DNA, and the genes tell us it was built for endurance and wired for cooperation. It hunted in packs, in daylight, running its prey until the prey simply could not run anymore. So, picture you, in the open, exhausted, and realizing the thing chasing you isn't one cat. It's a coordinated team, and they have all afternoon. And when the hunting was done, the cleanup crew arrived. The cave hyena, Crocuta spelaea, was not the scrappy scavenger you're imagining. Some grew as large as a modern lion, with jaws that crushed bone into powder. They lived in dens, and we have dug out those dens in places like Balve Cave in Germany, and found them stacked with gnawed, splintered, chewed-up bones. The bones of woolly rhinos, the bones of horses, and, in the same caves, sometimes, the bones of us. There is no grave more honest than the floor of a hyena den. So, which one was the worst? Hold on. Because the worst predator was never a single animal. It was the dark itself. Here is the thing we have completely forgotten. For almost all of human history, night was not a time for sleep. Night was a time for dying. The sun went down, and the world you owned in daylight was repossessed by everything with better eyes than yours. So, you slept in the trees. For hundreds of thousands of years, that was the bedroom, a branch. Your ancestors' bedroom had no floor, and everything below it wanted to eat them. You wedged yourself into the canopy and you hoped you didn't roll over. And then, somewhere over 1 million years ago, something flickered. At a place called Wonderwork Cave in South Africa, deep inside, we found burnt bone, controlled fire, more than 1 million years old. This was the turning point that no painting ever shows. Fire didn't just keep you warm, fire was the first wall you ever built, a circle of light that the dark could not cross. For the first time, the breathing on the other side of the flames had to stay on the other side of the flames. That fire is the beginning of the answer, because the question this whole time has been, what changed? How does the hunted ever become the hunter? It wasn't one thing, it was 3, and they clicked together slowly. First came the fire, defense, a way to own the night and finally sleep on the ground. Then came the spear, offense, a way to kill something at the length of an arm instead of dying within reach of its teeth. And last came the thing the saber-toothed cats already had, the thing we'd been missing, the pack, cooperation. A group of us, coordinated, was suddenly the most dangerous animal on the landscape, and that brings us all the way back to a resting cave lion in Siegsdorf and the spear in its 3rd rib. That wound is not just a dead lion, it is a fossil of the exact moment it flipped, the instant the prey turned around. For 2 million years, the cave lion lay down without fear. And then one evening, it lay down for the last time, and the small, soft, slow thing it had always ignored walked up behind it and changed the order of the entire world. So, why does any of this still matter to you? Warm and safe and bored, watching a screen, because it's still in there, that jolt you feel when a shape moves wrong in the dark, the way your heart drops at a sound behind you at night. That isn't weakness. That is 2 million years of being hunted, hardwired into your body by every ancestor who heard the breathing and lived. You are not descended from the calm ones. You are descended from the ones who were afraid enough to survive. We were prey for longer than we have been anything else. And the fact that you're here, on top, comfortable enough to forget all of it, that is the most unlikely victory in the history of life on Earth. But the cave lion was only the predator we could see. The most dangerous thing our ancestors ever faced didn't have claws at all, and that one nearly finished us before the hunt ever began. That's the next story. Subscribe, and you won't miss it.